obviously there's a lot of content Ollie went over as well as me. I'm going to kind of go through some of the basic functionality from some of the other portions of BIM 360 and how kind of a contractor might use it. And then as you guys ask questions, we can really kind of dive into some of those specific items if there's some more things that you guys want me to cover. So I'll go kind of quickly because I know I want to show you lots of content in the little bit of time that we have left. There was a question in the chat that came up earlier about notifications and getting those. So I just wanted to cover that when you're going through your notification settings about receiving emails for issues, under your profile name, there is a notification settings box that allows you to check how much of the time that you want to receive emails so that you're not getting overloaded or bombarded. This is also set by the project admin. So this one I can change because the project admin has allowed me to change, but you can see that if I wanted, to be reminded instantly of issues, or if that was too much, I could be reminded daily or hourly. So just kind of an update there. Ali talked about, and he showed the project home dashboard about, what we're looking at. So this is your starting page, right? That checklist box where we're coming into that first part of the day, when I can see any of my field issues or project issues, and I can really click on any of these items, and it'll take me to those specific areas so I can look at those. I wanted to focus and highlight a little bit more on the risk portion because this is kind of more of a newer feature in BIM 360. And it's kind of our new construction IQ technology, which is taking the data that you're inputting into BIM 360 and outlining risks so that we know where to focus. So that as your your foremans come in for the day, they know where they need to focus or highlight. So in our project home, this is that home page that we started off. I'm going to jump to my Insight dashboard where it dives into this more deeply, and I've already got that tab open, so I'm going to go to the next tab here. So you can see here's my project risk. Now this is populated by those issues that you're putting in here, and it has different issues depending on your safety risks. So what safety issues are being risen, whether they're housekeeping items, how many checklists are completed, and we'll go over those in a second. With overdue issues, and it kind of just gives a risk score for the day. You can see this is a low risk today, but we could definitely take a look at our safety risk or whatever the case may be. I'm going to focus on our design risk today because I know we have quite a few designers on the call. So I can say, here are my design risks, and it looks like there's, 45 documentation incomplete issues. So I can click on this and I can see that these are the issues that need to be complete. So I can quickly get an overview of what documentation needs to be complete, where are my critical components. You can see that here these are openings and embeds or elevators, and that's why they're labeled as such. Let me go back to documentation incomplete, and you can see that I can click on one of these IDs. You can see that the construction IQ is kind of populating this view with the building components being that elevator, which is a critical component, and then those root causes, that documentation conflict or that documentation incomplete, which is then going to flag construction IQ to do that or assign that to this risk. This is still being developed and researched out. We've got a lot of people that are using this on a project as far as utilizing it and filling out the data, but it's a really great overview allow you to do this. There's a question about the executive overview. I believe the executive overview allows you, that's at an account-based level, so instead of looking at the risk for a project-based level, you can look at the risk basically over an entire account, which has all the BIM 360 projects in it. And I'm not sure that it allows you to drill completely down into those projects with like the specific IDs or the issues, but I do believe it allows you to drill down into specific projects, but we can follow up on that. Okay, and then so you have your risk here. There's a lot of different different project controls you can jump between. Looking at those specific design issues and charts. Looking at your quality issues or those safety issues, especially for those foremans or those safety inspectors as they're going through to see where they need to focus for that day. Okay. These reports can all be exported out, which is nice because I know that a lot of people, especially in the contractor world, like those paper copies to be able to do that, and you can set those reports to run daily, monthly, hourly if you wanted to, and then you could have those for your meetings every day. All right, Ali talked about the document management, and the nice thing is that we're completing that life cycle between design and construction where those design documents are uploaded here, and then all their contractors or have access to be able to view those same models and those same documents. And as they're published out, we have those particular sets available, and we have the same ability to make those issues and those markups on those drawings, just like those architects or designers would be. And I'm going to jump into our field management module. And as I'm jumping into these tabs, I'm just jumping in between the different modules here to kind of quickly cover and save some time to show you the functionality. When I jump into our field management module, and a lot of this is done on the iPad app, right? You take your iPad or your phone, whether Android or iOS, in the field, and you're actually working through these and pulling this up. These issues that are coming through are synced across the entire project for BIM 360. So whether I have a design issue or whether I have a safety issue, they're all wrapped up together so that no matter where I'm at, I can be able to view those issues at any time, and I can filter out by those issues to see, what I want and proceed to, update the status like Ali showed, or change those different things. The other thing that you can do, especially in the field when we're doing, is we do checklists, right? So every job has something that needs to be checked, whether it's a project safety walk, whether, you're looking at, setting up a COVID screening for your job site so that as people come in, they can jump on an iPad and complete those COVID screenings, and you have a record of that, and it's all saved in BIM 360. The other thing you can do with this is, we focus a lot on equipment and making sure that those are on site and they're ready, right? So we can create checklists for our air handling units or electrical gear or anything like that. And you can see that as we go through this, checklist, we can create templates so that we have those templates in advance. We publish those checklists to those templates, and then we can complete those for every single item. And you can see as I go through and maybe I mark a fail on something that comes through, it's going to automatically create that issue. So we're completing that that side of that complete circle, right? So that I can click on this issue here and I can see that particular item or attachments here, or the activity as far as that issue has been completed, and proceed to move through that so that we're tying those things together. Okay. Somebody asked me to ask up or open a clash issue in field, and I will do that in just a second. I did also want to note that with these checklists, we do have the ability to also tie them to pieces of equipment. So on the right-hand side, you can see that I have, my checklist information, when it's scheduled, the location, what type it is, commissioning, and then I also have a linked asset so that as I go through my process, I'm also tying it to pieces of equipment, specific pieces of equipment that I can then look at. So let me jump back to my Issues tab at the top, and I will open up a clash issue real quick. So you can see that I have a coordination clash issue here. I can go ahead and open that. You can see that here's my description. There's the photo of that clash issue there. And then I have the ability to view any attachments as well as the screenshot and pull it up and see where that clash issue is. And any activity associated to that clash status. Okay. Let me run through. So with that, as far as we've got our checklists, I showed you that asset that was kind of associated to that. So I don't know if some of you have seen our new asset tracking module that allows you to click on particular assets and be able to jump to that asset module and track that. This is the one that we talked about. We had a question about statuses and changing statuses and status colors. This is what you can do in the asset module, where you can specify a particular assets and items by their categories. This can all be created. I've seen this done for not only electrical or ductwork or that mechanical MEP equipment that you see, but also for furniture systems or room schedules, right? You're tracking rooms and how they're done or what status they are. Like maybe it's a hotel that you need to track. And so you can customize each one of these statuses here in their color so that you can change those along the way, and we can keep track of those assets. And then, those issues automatically come through. So that issue that I just marked up in that checklist comes through right here. I can click on that issue and open it, and I see that same view, as well as going to that checklist that I was looking at, and you can see that it's in progress. And so it's all tied together. If I had additional drawings here, I could also click on those drawings and be able to see those particular items. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and just look at some things in the chat. I want to make sure I get you guys' questions.
There's one question, Nicole, from Steve. He's asking for a workflow if the designer is not using BIM 360, and if you can take advantage of coordination between the platform.
Yes, absolutely. So let's jump into model coordination. I'm going to skip a little bit over our RFIs and submittals for now and jump into model coordination. So we talked about this central data platform all being in BIM 360 document management, right, where everything's uploaded. So maybe your designers are not using BIM 360, and that's fine. To take advantage of model coordination, you will need to upload those models into document management so that you can tell model coordination to utilize those models. And so I would just get those models from the architects or designers, and when they come to a place, and then I would put them in a particular folder here in document management. And the nice thing about model coordination is that when you're activating the model coordination model or module, you just tell it where you want it to clash. So you can have a particular folder just for model coordination here in your files, and then say model coordination clash this folder, and it'll clash everything in that particular folder, whether it's a hierarchy folder or a subfolder below. And the nice thing about model coordination too is then you can have different model coordination spaces. So on the right-hand side, you can see that there's a bunch of different model coordination spaces here where we could run, one with particular trades. You could set one up for each of your subcontractors and give them access to it. You could set up a design coordination, or you could set up, that model coordination. So you can utilize model coordination if you, in fact, just have to upload your models to BIM 360, and then you can tell model coordination to clash those. Then you have the ability to have all your models here. I select that model coordination space, which is assigned to this particular folder, which has these models in it. I have the ability to select any of these models and then hit view, and it will automatically, open up those particular models in that view, and it automatically runs the clash detection for me so that I don't have to go through that. So while that's loading, the nice thing then is I have the ability to save that view. So I can add additional or remove models. I can save that view so that I can then come back to it later. I can make it private just like those markups, right? And private or published if I just want that view for me. And I'm going to leave it as canceled for now to save time. But then I have the ability to then, in this view that I just created, have the ability to see all those clashes. I can see, which clashes we're sorting with. I can say what's my primary model. So if I want to look the architect versus the other two, or if I want to say, no, I want to clash the mechanical with everything else, I can quickly change that. And then I can group objects by different items. So whether I'm doing it by a system name or whether I'm doing it by a type name or an object name, I have the ability to do that. And then the nice thing here with model coordination, right, is that anything that's coming up, let me go back to my architecture model. I'm going to go ahead and do type name, and you can see that I have a clash with my metal roof deck. So I can go ahead and click on that. I can see these two items here. If those all look good and it's not a problem, there's a button at the bottom that says not an issue. So then it takes away that clash. I have the ability to say, it's a valid interface, and go ahead and hit OK. And that's removed from my clash set. And then I can proceed to go through here and review any additional clashes. Now, if it was a penetration that we wanted to really mark as a clash, I could go ahead and zoom in and say, yep, this is a clash. For here, I would go ahead and create that issue, and then it would automatically mark as a coordination class. And I could go ahead and add a pin. So let me scroll into here, add a pin here. You can see I have that pin. It automatically creates a title. I can assign it to a user just like you would any other user or issue that you were creating. Add location details, change the description, and then hit create. Okay, and that issue is then populated into that big issue window that we talked about, as well as it diminishes those clashes moving forward. Okay, let me go ahead and just kind of look here, because I know we have one other thing I did want to show you guys that Ali didn't mention, but we now have the ability in Navisworks and Revit to bring in those BIM 360 issues. So within Navisworks, I now have the ability to open specific models, and I can open particular models or particular views. So that save view that I created in model coordination, I can open that up in this view, and then I can see all the issues that were here. I have the ability to open them. I can make changes. You can see that it's highlighted here in this particular view. I can make any changes I need to, or if I'm in Navisworks and I'm looking at a particular issue, I can also create an issue from here. So definitely a great functionality, and there is a new issues plugin with Revit that has similar ability to go in and actually view your issues from BIM 360 in your Revit model so that you're completing that design cycle of making sure that everybody's on the same page and knows where those examples are. All right, let me go ahead. I'm just going to skim through the chat. Ollie, is there some of the things that we might need to?
Yeah, one thing to point out is the BIM, and thanks for bringing this up, Nicole. It's important. I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but the issues plugin for Revit at the moment only works for 3D elements or issues that are created in a 3D view. So that adds a little bit of limitation when it comes to functionality direct. So I know there are a couple questions about Navisworks and Clash taking that and viewing that into Revit. I haven't personally tested that out yet, but if it's 3D, it should work. But we might have to get back to you on that, on the specifics.
Okay. And where the pin is the location as far as where it's logged. So wherever that pin is going to show up in association to that Revit model or that Navisworks model. So that's where the location comes in. As far as a Clash report being exported to be used like on an iPad, so there's not really, so it doesn't come into like PlanGrid. There's some future functionality that Autodesk is developing in order to bring, PlanGrid and BIM 360 together. So you'll see some new functionality coming out in the next year. So look for that as far as bringing those together. But the issue report is kind of that main export. Like any of the issues can be reported. So when I talked about running reports, you can export a report of just all of your Clash issues. And that might be a way to, export those specific things out.
Looks like we're about at our hour. We will continue to go along, but I do want to honor everybody for their time. Thank you all so much. The chat was super active today. Once again, this will be recorded, so those of you who have to drop off, we do appreciate you joining us and for all of the participation that you provided today. Do check out yourdeskuniversity.com. They have a new spring semester, bunch of AEC tech experts going to be presenting and providing presentations in there. Don't forget to fill out the survey. Allison has put it in the chat. You will get an email and you can potentially win $25 gift card, but we really do want your input. So what do you want to see next month? What do you want to, hear about? What do you want to learn about, etc.? Please fill that out. So thank you so much, and back to you guys.
Okay, I'm just looking through the chat to see if there's any particular grouping issues in Navisworks. So grouping issues is not necessarily like grouping them, but there is a filter setting. So like if you had a particular status or location, or it was assigned to, or a root cause, that's where you could also add custom attribute filters. So if you wanted to say like this was like level 1, or which might be your location, or maybe this was a specific pump room or something like that, you could have a custom attribute filter, and then you could see that this is like maybe a lessons learned issue, and I could apply that filter, and then it's only going to show me those issues that were associated to that.